Good evening. How are you? Is it raining where you are? Well, it is where I am. I started out in the rain, then I had to retreat a little bit, so now I'm doing a sit or stand and talk uh, in a gazebo. Uh, Thomas Jefferson tells us the weather, because of the rain and so forth, is now a more comfortable 74. The humidity, unsurprising since the air is wet all about me, is 95% humidity, and the winds are at 4 miles an hour, although, as usual, I don't feel that anywhere. The big bad bill, if you will, is the subject of conversation from a political, a legislative, legal, and as an indicator of where our nation stands in terms of civilization and of its adherence to the principles of a republic and a democracy rather than a monarchy or an autocracy. We have some indication of the cowardice, one by one, of the people in the Congress. And if there's a particular attitude that explains almost every vote, it is self-preservation rather than fighting for the democracy itself. And so what we see are some few people who are Republicans voting against the big bad bill with their own explanations. And what we have to consider is how we get past that. And the answer is only with great difficulty, although there are a couple of aces in the hole, as they say. But let me talk about it a little bit. The three Republicans who voted down the big bad bill were Senators Paul and Tillis and Susan Collins. And so that's an interesting collection. Now, Rand, who I think in some respects wants it more conservative, so he's a strange vote. He's further out there, and he may be an example of harbingers to come when this bill is considered by the House that has even stronger, more conservative, more crazy to my way of thinking, who want this bill to be even more punishing of those who are in a situation that they depend on the safety net that would be pulled away by the worst Republicans, which is by the fact of putting the knee down for Trump to do what he wants rather than what the people they purportedly represent want. So Senator Paul said, there will be a day when conservatives will rue the fact that some of them actually voted for this bill. Interesting. Now, Tillis, you may have heard, he gave a powerful speech against it, no holds barred, and he created a seat that may go to blue because he's resigning from the Senate, won't have anything to do with it, and he announced that after Trump lit into him. And we can all, take comfort that he has the heart of a lion to fight this one last fight, but he's a quitter in the sense that since he might be able to make a difference if he continued, why doesn't he do that? It may sound harsh, but these are difficult times, and if people don't make tough decisions, we will lose the republic and the democracy. And all the words, all those days ago, going down the careening path of time to Benjamin Franklin, who when asked if we had a republic said, if you can keep it. And we're not doing very well right now. We have things, we're still in the game, it's not over. But this big bad bill is a step forward to a monarchy because people who know better in the Senate, including Republicans who are conservative as opposed to crazy, are not voting the way they should for the preservation of the republic and the democracy and of the mission to be concerned about the public interest, and they're not. So now Collins faces a moderate electorate, and so when we pick her up on something, that's usually the reason. Now let's consider the Republican from Alaska who voted for the bill. Now, Lisa Murkowski bargained for exceptions to save her constituents and her, but not everybody else. Now, either a bill is good or bad for the nation, and to cut deals for Alaska at the expense of the whole rest of the United States strike me as a pretty craven process. And so she gets she gets a variety of exceptions, if you will. For example, and I choose this because it sounds funny, she got a special tax break for whaling captains, okay? But the other ones that cut into the main arguments why she should have voted against the whole bill is because they did things like they doubled the value of a rural hospital bailout to ease the loss of Medicaid fundings, And then SNAP are funds for those who need food, and there's a delay of SNAP being applied in Alaska. There was going to be a duty on renewables, and they're striking that as well. And then we can't get past the fact that this is the largest wealth transfer from the poorest to the richest in the history of our republic. Now, are there encouraging things going on here? Well, there are several, but they're all combative, and they're not going to be finally determinative, but it means we're still in the fight. Alon says he'll see those who voted for the big bad bill in primaries, and he may start that, and he's one man on the planet who actually could cause them a lot of trouble and might have an even greater chill because, after all, he was recruited to help Trump get elected, and they bought the election, in my opinion, that way. And they bought it not just because he spent money, but because they lied and lied and lied and kept the maggots in line and other people that thought, oh, we'll have a change, this will be different. And Trump gets A for grifting and a big F in all of its remnant meetings for what he did to those people who trusted him. Of course, they were stupid to trust him. This is not like he fell off a turnip truck and all of a sudden was standing there, some sort of latter-day political Elmer Gantry that one could trust. Of course, it's ridiculous, but there it is. Trump, in the meanwhile, he responds to Alon by saying, well, maybe we'll deport him. And, he does that to thin out the possibility that Alon can have effect, but it also tells us that he's worried about Alon. And it would be so great if the members of the Republican Party and the leadership would get the message as well. Poor baby Trump, the man-child. Yesterday he called Biden a son of a bitch because he was frustrated, the poor orange oaf. And he claimed that Biden wanted him in jail, and there's absolutely nothing that indicates that. Quiet at night, I assume, with a small glass of wine, maybe a sherry, Biden would say to himself, wouldn't it be great if that fucker lost, was in jail? Well, who knows, but it didn't happen. I do still want him in jail. I do hope that he lives a tortured life until the last day, the last 5 Adderall he pops in order to do what he's doing. There's also another move, I suppose, to distract us a little bit, but it's to put fear in the hearts of Americans who may be visible. If you're not elected, we'll get you another way. Why not denaturalize a citizen? How about that? Who's committed certain crimes. Now, there is in history a book, I think it was a short story actually, written by Edward Hale, and it's Man Without a Country. And so what he's proposing is to displace a person who has been convicted, presumably, you never know if he's going to stick by what he says, who is a man without a country, as is true of the short story by Hale. And as he's a man without country, he's at sea. He's not allowed to know anything about the country. And this goes on at great length to the extent that it can until he finally dies on a ship, and they identify the ship. The particulars are fictional, so I don't remember the name of the ship, but that's how they finish it up. Where are we as Americans? We have been the victims of cowardly, unfocused, unimaginative, self-seeking elected members of the House and Senate who don't give a damn about us. They only care about getting elected and remaining in office, whether it be Collins and Lisa is an even better example, because she even specified what she's worth, what price she has to be paid, so she can ignore the rights and dreams of every other American in every other state. She sold out the country for that. And people still think of her well, just like they think of Collins. But these people only make the decision for personal political reasons, for perpetuation. And that's not enough to be an American. That's not enough to be a citizen. And when you're doing it and betraying the Republic, making it easier to have a dictatorship, when you're giving more and more power to a president who respects no one and nothing, and will hurt and do whatever means a self-aggrandizement of money and power to himself. So, I'm in a soggy situation today, and the trees are a little distant from me, but the rain is all around, just outside the dry location I have. And so I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, and maybe it won't rain tomorrow. But it is pleasant, as you know, if you can say sit on a back porch or open a window. And I put online the rain I was observing from my home office, and the sound of the rain is really nice, especially when you don't have to fight it. So all the best. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.